Natalie Bullen, thanks so much for joining the We Rise podcast. So glad to have you on today. Will you introduce yourself so folks know who I have the joy of speaking to today, please?
Yay, I'm excited as well. I am Natalie Bullen. I am a bank employee escapee, recent full-time entrepreneur. I own Unapologetic Wealth, a coaching and consulting firm that helps women, especially women of color, capture the wealth that they deserve and desire by putting themselves out there, charging more money, and being really excited about rewriting their money stories.
Love that. Love that. And I've had it's been so fun to talk with you just a little bit in the past. And I love how you, to me, Natalie, just are so grounded in what you say. So it feels like you've already been an entrepreneur for such a long time. I know you've been working with women in different capacities for quite a while, but I am so excited to let other folks know what you're up to. Tell us a little bit more about your story. How'd you get here? What kind of work have you done? Are you doing? Just would love to hear more about your background.
Yeah, I am a typical rule follower. I made good grades in school. I went off to college. I made good grades in college. I got an MBA. I had good credit. I worked two jobs and I was poor. And no one really ever said, hey, a person with an MBA shouldn't be waiting tables.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the best job you can get working part time at Cracker Barrel or Pottery Barn or Dillard's. Instead, they said, oh, you're such a hard worker. That's wonderful. Look at your work ethic. Kudos to you. You keep on at it.
Right.
And I did keep on at it. And I got tired and overweight and somehow was still not able to break out of being lower middle class. And through a series of unfortunate events, a bad breakup, a health scare, an unexpected job loss, I ended up filing bankruptcy. And that was really embarrassing and really traumatic for someone with a business degree.
Yeah.
And this work ethic that people kept praising me for all the time, which is irritating. So I really got to where I realized, the finance space that we're in is rooted in like scarcity and fear and shame and guilt and how bad you are and how stupid you are and how little you know and how much further ahead you should be. And I don't know anyone who would thrive in that circumstance.
For sure.
So I decided I was going to change it. I was going to go work at the bank and I'd be the most honest, forthright, friendly loan officer, personal banker you'd ever met. And I got chided for how long I took with customers and how much advice I was giving them and that I sounded like a life coach and that I was just there to sell product, not fix people or change their lives. Wow. And then I said, well, you know what? I'm enough with that. I'm going to move into wealth management. I got licensed with FINRA to sell securities. And it was worse because then there were no women, there were no Black people. It was just me and 70-year-old white men talking about how they were going to make another million off their investments in another year. And I just didn't feel like I was making an impact, and I started to wonder, why is it that I don't have more female clients? Like, is it that women just don't make money? Like, what exactly is the phenomenon? And there's a lot of things at play. Women make less in corporate America compared to their male peers. And what's worse, when they strike out on their own in entrepreneurship, that gap widens. So when we price our own services, it gets worse.
Yeah.
And that coupled with the fact that most of us are terrified of sales, you don't really have the revenue in your business. And if you don't make any money, how do you save and invest? If you don't save and invest, how do you get wealthy? You don't. You die middle class. And you think that it was a budget all along. If only I'd had a budget. If only.
That magic budget.
It's the magic budget, because I ask that question on Facebook every so often. What's keeping you from the wealth you deserve and desire? And invariably, a third of the responses will be a budget. I'm like, really? That's what you think wealthy people are doing better than you? They're budgeting better.
No.
So, right, it's funny. It's like, that's completely ridiculous.
Yeah, but that's what we're told. Absolutely. That's the narrative.
That's what we're told. And so that's what started this whole shenanigan. I just didn't like how things were and thought maybe I could do them better.
Yeah, I love that. So, you talked a little bit, Natalie, about this kind of ingrained sense, the narrative, this ingrained sense about how we are taught about money as individuals, as part of corporations, families, workers, even as employers to some degree. Can you talk about what that journey's been like for you? And in the clients that you work with, to break out of that shame mentality, I know it's not overnight. It's a step-by-step process. What does that look like, and what does it take to build that, and where do you go?
I think, of course, everyone is different.
Yeah.
But I primarily struck out on my own because I wasn't getting paid what I felt like I wanted to get paid to create wealth for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm financially driven. Yes, I want to have impact, but I also want to have income. And I am very, very open and honest about that. I think healing your relationship with money is probably where people should start.
Mm. What does
If
that
they
look
want to
like?
break out of that employee mindset, because most people are living a story that someone else wrote. So like what you believe about money, is it really what you believe, or is it what your mom believed,
Right.
or what your like brother believed, or what your ex-husband believed?
Right.
Like these tropes of money doesn't grow on trees. Who says it doesn't? Money grows on my tree. Right.
Just
So I
paint
think
your tree.
right. So it's really important to like factor in like the stories that keep us stuck at corporate. Like if you don't work, you're foolish to leave a good job.
Mm.
You're unwise to leave a good job. You make 6 figures, that's enough. Why would you leave that and go strike out on your own? You're going to be homeless. That's a rhetoric. Whose rhetoric is that though? Is that another person at a W-2 job that they hate, or is that a successful business owner telling you that? It's probably the former. So I would say really ask yourself, like, what do you believe? A lot of us believe that rich people are evil. We believe that. We believe that they trample on the backs of the poor to get to where they're going. We hate Elon Musk. We hate Warren Buffett. We hate Zuckerberg. We think that they are all vile people. And when their stock goes down, we rally. We're like, yeah. Woo! Zuck lost 29 billion. We don't even understand how the stock market works to realize he hasn't lost a penny unless he sells. Right? So we're celebrating something that hasn't even happened. It's never going to happen. His accountant's going to make certain never ever happens. But we're like secretly rejoice when wealthy people do bad. Why? How will you ever become wealthy if you have a disdain and a mistrust towards anyone who amasses lots of money? So I think we just have to remove the nobility of poverty. Like it sounds good in theory to be a really nice person, you know, who does coffee chats for free and lets people pick their brain and helps everyone. Don't you want to help everyone? Aren't you just a helper? It sounds really good. Like, you know, and if you could pay one bill with that help, boy, you'd really be onto something. So I think that's where I'm, it's that's where I'm at, is the point of you have to detach from these things that you've been learning and ask yourself, are they true, or are they a version of someone else's reality? And those two things are very different.
Yeah, absolutely. And what does that look like for people? You know, the name of your business, Unapologetic Wealth. What a clear, direct, fabulous title. But it takes a while for people to own that desire to build wealth. And of course, multiple types of wealth: financial, emotional, spiritual, physical. But how do people actually get to a place where they feel like they can own it, create their own narrative, and ground it within their own lived experience? So not only are they saying that narrative doesn't ring true for me, here's the narrative I'm growing, but then actually owning that as well.
I think you got to get you a good support system. You got to stop hanging around with people who tell you these things. So once you decide what your new beliefs are, and that your old beliefs are out of alignment with who you are now, then you're going to have to detach yourself from people who believe those old beliefs, because they will permeate and they will seep out into your new beliefs and you will have conflict. 2, you can start by practicing some tangible things. So I don't allow women to apologize, especially for things that aren't their fault. It happens a lot. I'll get on a call, they'll be 3 minutes late. They'll have a raspy voice from talking on Clubhouse for 12 hours yesterday, you know, for free to help people. And they'll come to the call. I am so sorry. My throat is very sore. I apologize that my voice sounds like this. You literally just apologize for your voice. They'll apologize for their kids crying. They'll apologize that their husband has COVID. They'll apologize that their hair looks bad. They'll apologize that they've got a warm, cozy sweater on and they don't look professional. These are not hypotheticals. These are real things that women have apologized to me for. Meanwhile, a man will snatch your purse and knock you down and laugh. like men ain't apologizing even when they're wrong. So like, it's hilarious to see, like, some part of me just like chuckles when I start thinking about the things we apologize. Stop it. Stop apologizing for your price. Stop it. And how do you stop? You can change things into a gratitude. So if I'm late for a call, which happens because time gets away from me. Yeah, I'm really working on that, but you know, it's life, right? Yeah. If I get on a call 2 minutes late, like I did today with you, I did not get on the phone and say, I apologize for being 2 minutes late. I was in my car scarfing down Chick-fil-A because I've only had like 10 minutes of break today. It's been really crazy because of the launch. Thank you for waiting on me. Thank you for having me. Thank you for choosing to invest time in me today. That's such a more powerful stance than I'm so sorry for being late, because I'm so sorry puts the onus on you to empathize with me, right? I can't just say I'm sorry. You have to accept it. You have to accept my apology. And so now we have this energy of reciprocity. I feel bad. Now you feel bad.
Right.
So I push that off on you. Right. And so now we're in this symbiotic relationship of feeling sorry for each other, when in effect, the 2 minutes meant nothing. The podcast will go well. Our days will go well. My launch will go well. Nothing happened. Now, it was something catastrophic, right? I mean, something really bad happens and it was all your fault. Okay, apologize.
Right.
But don't be a martyr. Don't lay that. But in a normal course of affairs, your child getting sick, your husband coming in the room to tell you he loves you good night. It's just not worth apologizing for. So like, that would be my first thing, is how can you detach from this need to shrink and be small and take up as little space as possible? Like, how can you start taking up more space? How can you take up a little more space today than you took yesterday? Does that mean making one extra post on Facebook? Does that mean sending an email and letting your retainer clients that you'll no longer be offering that very low ticket, non-profitable offer anymore, and that here are your new packages? Is it starting that blog you've always wanted to start, but you didn't want people to see that you put on weight and you never take full on pictures? Is it taking photos of yourself that aren't from this angle, only from the neck up? What can you do to take up just a little more space than yesterday? And I think that could be a good tangible place for people to start too.
I love that. So it sounds like building a support network, having folks who are going to lift you up and not try to keep you down, not apologizing, having a mindset all the time that is keeping you growth oriented. You've hinted at a little bit. Will you talk a little bit more about how to stay in that place of, I don't know if you'd call it an abundance mindset. You talked about a scarcity mindset, but what keeps you, Natalie, in a place where you can own that wealth, where you can say, this is mine, this is something I'm going after, I'm not apologizing for it, it's something that I'm creating, I'm making a reality? How do you keep that up day after day in a way that is aligned and authentic?
That is a great question. I am learning that I might be a hair more ambitious than the average person. I'm learning. I would say just be yourself, because that comes intrinsically to you. But I'm learning that that is not the case at all, and that is bad advice. So maybe some better advice. How about getting in community, group program, membership, sisterhood, whatever that looks like, accountability partners, with people who are already what you aspire to be. Normally we get an accountability partner that's the same problem as us. You know, I've been overweight most of my life. Me overweight, I commiserate with other overweight people and we talk about how we're going to lose weight. Guess what happens? Neither of us lose weight. Guess what happened when I started going to people who were already fit and saying, hey, I want to get fit? Then we started doing fitness activities. You know why? Because they were already exercising. They were already on the trail. So me joining wasn't an issue. So find communities of momentum. Find places where people are already moving, and then it'll be easy for you to get moving with them. And when you fall behind, it'll be obvious. Use peer pressure and groupthink to your advantage.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Right? Peer pressure can work in a good way.
Yes, absolutely. Communities of momentum. That is just beautiful, Natalie. I love that. And so
you're right. I'll write that down.
Yeah, you should write that down. That's one of our quotes. So it sounds like showing up, being seen, taking up space, finding communities, peer groups, so that when you start to, because it's inevitable that we're all going to have terrible days and days we don't want to get out of the bed and weeks when we don't want to get out of bed. But someone's going to be paying attention, saying, hey, where is Christine? Where is Natalie?
And
why aren't they there? Pulling pulling them
Where,
forward.
where are they at? Let's give her a call. Let's go by
Yeah.
her house. Let's figure it out. And that matters. When I was in undergrad, I was very discouraged. I spent 6 years in undergrad, and as a very intelligent person, that messed with my morale. I had lost my scholarship junior year because I was working too much, and I had to pass calculus, which I thought was strange as a business major. And I failed calculus 5 or 6 times, and it was the only class I had left. Now, I just want you to envision the only class you take all semester being calculus. And I want you to imagine failing it 5 consecutive times.
Yeah.
I want you to think about fall, and then spring, and then summer, and then fall, and then spring.
Calculus.
I want you to think about the only class you take failing it over and over and over again. I want you to think about like what that would do to the morale of a high achieving straight A scholarship earning student.
For sure.
I was ready to drop out. And the only reason I didn't drop out was because my grandfather was still alive, and my grandfather had gone to Tuskegee in like the 40s. And I was like, how am I going to make it seem like I had it worse than a black man in the 40s in college? You know what I mean? Like, I've got nothing. Like, he's going to say I'm a wimp. Like, and I looked up to him, and I couldn't, it would hurt him physically. I knew I couldn't drop out, or at least I couldn't let him know I dropped out. So I was just going to withdraw, and just kind of let this whole thing just kind of work itself. I don't know. I was a kid. You don't know any better. Right. Everyone's going to forget I'm in college, right? I had stopped applying to graduate. So you have to apply now to graduate. You have to fill out a form, your intent to graduate, to let the registrar know that you won't be registering again. And you have to pay a fee, and it may be $50 or so. And I got tired of paying that fee. So I stopped applying for graduation. So the last time that I registered, I knew that I was going to fail. I knew that I was going to make a D or an F. And for this particular class, I had to make a C. And I'd made an F 2 times, and I'd made a D 2 times. And the same guy kept failing me. So I was like, at a certain point, you got to get sympathetic towards me, right? But, apparently he was one of those equal rights kind of people. And he just wasn't feeling, it wasn't feeling me and my little feminine, I can't pass this class thing at all. So I didn't apply for the semester that I took this class. So it was spring of 2013, 2012. I went in college in 2006. So years have passed, and only this class left. And so I registered for the class, but knowing I was going to fail, I didn't even apply to graduate. Okay. It was just something I did to save face with my family that I'm still in school. Right. And my best friend at the time, whose legal name is Tequila, applied for me. She went down to the registrar, and she pretended to be me, and she paid the fee, and she applied for me to graduate because I was too stubborn to do it myself, because I knew that I would fail. And somehow, by the grace of God, I made a C, and it dawned on me that my dumb self hadn't even applied to graduate. And that even though I had passed, I wasn't going to get the diploma because I hadn't filled out the paperwork. Imagine my surprise at the registrar's office to find out that I had in fact applied.
How interesting, right? So Tequila is keeping an eye out for you when you're like, I'm not even going to do it. Tequila's coming up and is like, we're gonna register you. Yes. And you're going to show up. You don't know that yet, but you're going to show up.
That's the kind of network you need. Yes. Somebody who will register for you when you don't have the courage to.
Man, what a good story, Natalie. Jeez.
Everyone needs a tequila.
Everybody needs a tequila. So what happened when you saw Tequila? I want to know, were you like, how did I get registered?
I jumped all over her. She's like 6 feet tall. I crawled all over. I was just like, I can't believe. Well, I didn't even know who did it, because again, she probably went to the registrar. I went to a HBCU, and so all the other kids just show up, and all the kids do it. Then it's not like they ID you who would go down there and pay for someone else's stuff, right? So it's not like a stringent process. Right. But the registrar thought I had done it, so it's obvious whoever did it said my name and just paid. Yeah, I had no clue who did it. And when I found out she did, I was like, "Why did you do that?" She was like, "Because you were gonna pass." And I was like, well, there's no way you could know I was going to pass. She was like, you're going to pass eventually. What, are you going to drop out? Like, to her, it was just ridiculous that I wouldn't. She was just like, she was like, you were being stubborn. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah. So
like, everyone needs someone who will tell them, you were being stubborn. You were being stubborn. This is ridiculous. And for me, someone needs to tell me that at least twice a day.
Keep it going. Keep it going. I love that, man. So you had somebody who saw you, who knew you, was going to get your back, and who was going to pull you out a little bit when you were getting stuck and when you're being stubborn, helping to see the big picture. So building those communities of momentum, I love that. So when you work with clients, I want to hear a little bit more about how you work. You've talked a little bit about your work with women. What is it that you would say as a whole, in terms of either entrepreneurs building their own resilience or women growing wealth consciousness, what that looks like? What else do you always need to say to your clients? This is something that you need to pay attention to. This is something that I want you to be mindful of. This is something to create for the next year or 2 years. How do you help them grow that wealth consciousness and for entrepreneurs to build resilience?
I love to start with the life they want. Most people aren't living the life that they want. Most people don't even know it's possible. You worked a job that was less than ideal. You couldn't pick your kids up from school. You had to put them on the bus. It drove you crazy. You worried about their safety. And then you got home and you were exhausted. And your husband had already cooked dinner and they were already in the tub. And you worked on your business and no one paid you because you positioned yourself as a low-cost free place. And everybody likes the free place, but no one wants to pay the free place. And you lived in a city you didn't love and you couldn't help your mom as much as you wanted. And your brother asked to borrow some money and you didn't have it. And you kind of accepted that. You've been living like that for a while, right? That's usually where I meet people. They're either in a job like that or they have left a job like that. Even if it was a high paying job, especially if it was a high paying job.
Interesting.
You're making $150K a year. It's hard to leave that. See, I've never had a 6-figure job. So it's easy for me to quit my job because I could easily replace the income I made from my job. I only brought home $1,200 every 2 weeks. It wasn't hard to replace that. But if I was bringing home $6,000 every 2 weeks, now that would have changed the math. That would have been a high stakes proposition. So how do you keep that fear and anxiety down when you know you're leaving something that supports your household? I want people to visualize. So the first call is setting your intention. I want you to pull up Zillow and I want you to show me the house you want. Come on, you're a woman. You're a woman, you do it. Don't tell me you don't do it. You got a house saved on Zillow right now. I know you do. You got it, Christine. And every woman listening to this is like, damn, how she know that? Go to Zillow right now.
Man, yes.
Pull up the house. I want to see it. And so I tell them I want to see the house. Okay, great. Now tell me about the baby you want to have. Come on, what's her name? You got a name for her. Come on, I know you want. And they're like, I don't want children. Perfect, no problem. Show me the car you've been looking at. Come on, let's pull out the Carvana website and let's go ahead and look at the bookmarks. Let's see it. I want to see the Genesis. Yeah. I want to see the Maserati. Sure. Come on with it. I lay it all out. What do you want? See, we don't get asked that question. We get asked, what will we accept? What will we allow? What will we tolerate? Maybe those aren't the words, but when you go to a job interview, they go, what's your salary expectation? They don't go, how much money do we need to pay you to create wealth for yourself?
That's a difference.
They ask you basically, what's the lowest amount we can pay you for you to keep showing up every day?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right. And that's how most things are structured in our society. I start from the top. Tell me the grandiose dream. What is it? Don't temper it. I don't want to hear but. I don't want to hear however. Eliminate all of that. Eliminate everything that comes after the but, or replace but with and. Listen to the difference in these sentences. I want to start a business, Natalie, but I'm a single parent and I don't have a lot of business acumen and I'm not sure anyone will pay me, but I am a hard worker. Let's change that to, Natalie, I want to start a business and I'm a single mom and I don't have a lot of business acumen and I know I can do this. For sure. Just replacing the buts with and made that sentence so much more powerful, even though the words were the same.
Absolutely.
So being a single parent can be a benefit, right? Being a Black woman can be a benefit. I damn sure think it's benefited me personally. I think being Black has helped me in certain situations. I definitely think it helps me connect to communities of color. And I think it's important that women see a Black millennial in finance. It's important for people to know I'm going to be a registered investment advisor that can invest people's money in the stock market. That's a big deal. The average financial advisor is a 52-year-old white man. 52-year-old white men don't care on average what millennial Black women do with their money because that's not their target demographic. So who's going to target women if all the men are targeting men? And women aren't in the field? Then what happens? So this is such important work. And I guess that would be number 2. After you visualize the lifestyle you want, ask yourself, why is your work important? What happens if you don't do this work? Whatever it is that's scary to you that you want to do, what happens when you don't do it? What happens to those communities? Do those girls, end up teenage pregnancies because they didn't get into your mentorship program that you've been too fearful to start because you're worried about what your college roommate's going to say about you if you post about it on Facebook? What happens to those communities if you don't show up? And that's what I would tell a person who's not money driven. Most women are not money driven like I am. You can convince me with dollars. Most women need more coercion. They need to make sure that what they're doing is valuable in the community. Of course, I want value too, but I want profit as well. I have to coerce people into profit, but I usually don't have to coerce them into that thing that they feel like they're supposed to be doing with their life, that gnawing. We've all had it, that gnawing of there's got to be something more. I just make their more bigger. I amplify their more.
I amplify their more. Love that. Yeah, I love that. I love that. So when you work with folks, then I want to bring it a little bit more around to the things that keep you rolling in the everyday. Natalie, what is it that you want? If you could kind of prime the pump, if you could, before working with a client, if you could get a client set up so they are ready to roll with you, what would you want them to do, say, invest in before you could work with them so that they could amplify their more? What would that look like? That prep work, prep play, whatever.
I need them to look at their money first. Whatever their situation is. If you've got unopened bills, open them. If you've got collections on your credit report, view your credit report. If you don't look at your bank account, look at your bank account. I need you to be aware of how much money you have, how much debt you have, how many investments you have, and where it's spread out. If money intimidates you, hire a bookkeeper. Full stop. You need to have some support in the dollars. Because I can't help you grow something you don't monitor, and I'm not going to do your books for you. So you definitely need to have some financial support, either some acumen, some review, or someone to help you do those things. You need to have a made up mind that this is what you want. I don't coach hobbyists. So if you have a hobby that people pay you for from time to time and you got to pick it up and put it down and you like it, like Avon, you sell Avon. I don't coach hobbyists. I have tried coaching hobbyists. I didn't know they were hobbyists. My discernment wasn't where it is now. And I get pissed off when they stop the business. 6 months later, after all my coaching and pouring and helping and planning and processing, I paused the business. You what? I will fight you, right? Because that's my business now, right? Like now I'm angry. So you cannot be a hobbyist. What does that mean in tangible terms? You need to be an expert at what you do. Expert is vague on purpose. Do you feel like an expert, right? Do people view you as an expert? Do you have any collateral, any testimonials? Do you have any kind of social proof that shows that you're an expert? Do you have degrees or certifications, whatever it takes in your field to be an expert? Do you have it? This is hard for women to gauge because of imposter syndrome, but I can typically suss out whether a person's an expert or not. And then 3, they need to have the time to invest. So we have to look at their capacity. What is your capacity right now? Right now, I can tell you, I am mid-launch in the coaching business. I have a goal to be on 30 podcasts this year. This is number 17.
And it's early February as we're recording.
Yeah, I'm crushing it. This is number 17. I am studying to become a certified financial planner. I'm learning Spanish, the Spanish coach. I'm launching a registered investment advisory firm with the SEC to be that financial advisor. I'm launching a public speaking career. I'm going to 8 conferences this year. I'm building my husband's business up. He's a photographer, does all my brand photos, and I'm taking him with me on a tour. Those are my short-term goals that I can tell you right now. So in terms of capacity, I don't have any for another program. So it doesn't matter how good the program is, because I already have 2 coaches. That doesn't include the rebrand, the website, the copywriting, the life coach, the therapist, or my psychiatrist.
You have a
Right.
team.
So
You have momentum.
I do, but like I'm at capacity. It's important for people to know, because I've had people pay me and then they couldn't do the work because their kids were sick, their husband was out of town on a job, and so they were having to take care of the kid. It wasn't the right time. So I need people to not have FOMO. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a real ass business. You got time. So if it's not the right time, that's okay. I don't want people to feel like they have to be coached under duress. Like, oh my God, if I don't get in with Natalie right now, she's going to increase the price. She's going to go away. She's going to have this scarcity. She's going to change. If I do change, I have a Rolodex of money pros. I can get you help. Trust me. Nothing bad is going to happen if you wait until you can implement. It's important as women that we assess our capacity, because I don't think we've ever done it before. I don't think anyone's ever asked, do you actually have the bandwidth? Can you absorb another drop of information right now? Sure. We just assume that women are super women and super powerful and omniscient and they can just do everything. We just dump all this crap on them. And then we wonder why, as women, nothing gets done. We wonder why the checklist never get checked. Well, you're trying to check like 40 boxes and you only have like one hand. Like, I think those are things that people should do. And that's not even before hiring me. That's before hiring any coach. Do you have capacity?
Absolutely. I read this quote earlier today from the Nat Ministry. Rest is the collaboration you need. Lay yourself down. Rest is the collaboration you need. And I was just like, oh, yes.
There is revenue in your rest.
I love that. It is true. I love that. So bringing it back to you, Natalie, you shared so much about what women can do to prepare to work with you, clearing space, having the visualization, getting ready to do the work, being willing to show up, looking at what the money situation is, knowing it's going to be a process, building a, momentum of support, communities to support. So looking more at you specifically in your everyday life. So I love what you outlined for this year. That brings me joy to hear about what you're working on. I'd like to hear, Natalie, what brings you joy these days in your life?
I'm a newlywed, so looking at my husband brings me joy. He's beautiful. And sleeping in, I really love sleep. I get 8 hours of sleep a night, sometimes 9. But if I could sleep 12 hours a day, I really, really would, or at least lay in the bed. Like I'm definitely like a couch potato, and I enjoy it. I'm definitely a couch spud. It's good for me. I really love reading. I read 52 books a year. I'm a smidge behind. So I know you're like, how are you already behind? But I rolled over from last year and only got 48 last year. So I feel like I have to make up the 4. And
short books, some short books, picture books.
Right. And of course they're like, 500 pages. They're like, to the story of redlining in the deep center. So, it's not like light reading and all. So I love to read. I love to go shopping. That's my favorite thing in the world. And that is why I'll be so glad when COVID finally passes at some point. Really, really fantastic. So I could go back to the Green Hills Mall without a mask on, and I can try things on at my leisure, and I can not worry that other people have touched them or put them on their bodies, and I can just like buy the clothes and love the life. I love being on Clubhouse. It's my happy place. I get to listen, I get to learn. And as an introvert, it is great because I can be as sociable as my bandwidth allows in real time. So if I want to hear someone's voice for the connection, but I don't have the social bandwidth to speak, I can just stay in the audience and listen. But if I do have the bandwidth to speak and contribute, I can raise my hand and I can contribute. And if I want to do my own room, I can control whether that room's 10 minutes or an hour or 2 hours. It really puts me in control of my social capacity. So I really love Clubhouse.
I love that. That's awesome. So many good things there. And I love, I can't wait to see the photos from your photo shoot with your husband as you go on the road to these 8 conferences this year. Natalie, tell me, what keeps you moving forward on the days that you struggle?
Knowing that my community needs me. And that if I don't show up, someone else is going to show up that might not have the moral compass that I have. Mm-hmm. That maybe someone will show up with that guilt, shame, fear crap, mm-hmm. and pour that all over my women. Mm-hmm. Or maybe no one will show up and they'll just be lost, you know. Mm-hmm. Maybe I don't show up and that was my last day on earth. You know, you never know when that'll be.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I won't say obligation because that sounds like it has a negative connotation, but the legacy I want requires tenacity. Mm-hmm. It's too large for me to kind of pick it up and put it down as I feel like it. Mm-hmm. So if you want a large legacy, I'm talking being able to walk in a grocery store and pay for everybody's groceries in the line. I'm talking about going to Walmart for Christmas and paying off all the layaways. I'm talking about putting $100 bills in every box of diapers in Target. So when people get home with the diapers, they're pulling out $100 bills. I'm talking about having the wherewithal to have many homes built for veterans that are homeless, having a bus that drives around the city where they can shower and get a shave and wash their clothes, like regenerating like old school buses. I'm talking about more money than I can spend, save, give away, or invest. I'm talking about having scholarship funds in my name, being able to go to Alabama A&M University and pay off every child's tuition in the line at the registrar. Yes, I'm talking about crazy money that gives back to anybody. If I see a sob story on the internet, right? I was reading online, I'm in Alabama, and I don't know where this article came from because I don't watch the news. I consume my news from other sources, but I don't watch news broadcasts because I feel like they're poison. And so I was scrolling Facebook, I think, and I saw this article, and it was about this young woman who, oh my God, the misfortune she had been through. In short, she had been pregnant and had pain. She started bleeding. She got called an ambulance. And when the ambulance got there, when they found out she didn't have insurance or where she lived or something, they said they would only take her to one hospital. So they went to the hospital and that hospital wouldn't take her because she didn't have the money or it was the wrong county. There was an administrative something. She's still bleeding, like 5 months pregnant with twins.
Like what?
Right. And so she was taken to another hospital. And by the time she got there, she had lost the babies. And the hospital kept their bodies and cremated their bodies and would not give her the ashes because she couldn't afford to pay for the cremation.
Insane.
And she was in a same-sex relationship. She was a woman of color. And I couldn't help but think to myself, I wonder if she was straight and white, if this would have happened to her. You know? And the sorrow, it was like a blanket of sorrow. And I reached out to her. I found her on Facebook. I reached out to her and I was like, please, if the cremation has not been paid for, let me pay for it. So you can have your babies at home with you. Because this is just the most disgusting thing. What on earth is the hospital going to do with 2 little urns of ash? Give the woman it was just so low down. Like it has no value to anyone other than their mother, right? Like no one at the hospital could possibly be attached to the babies.
Yeah.
She was honest with me. She said, someone else read the story and has already paid off the hospital. But thank you for your generosity. I said, girl, let me know if you need something. And she said, I'll be honest with you. I'm really poor and I could use some money for food. And I sent her money. And I've been sending her money ever since. And we've been in touch ever since. And I just love her to death. And I've helped her get a resume and helped her try to get a job together. She's like 3 hours away. And if COVID ever passes, I'm going to go down there and I'm going to meet her. And I thought to myself, man, if I was rich, I could just solve this whole problem. I could just put her in a house. I could just, this is a check. This is writing a check. This is a problem you fix with money. Like the Bible says money answereth all things. I feel like that's an answer right there. And I look forward to the day where I have the resources where it ain't $100 here or there. It's get on the bus, I paid for a ticket. Get on the plane, I paid for a ticket. And this is your house. And these are your groceries. And y'all have a good life. And you know what? Let me train you with my company, because I own 7 companies. So let me train you, or let me let you stay in one of the units in one of my apartment complexes. Like, imagine that kind of wealth. We talk about money like it's bad, and we talk about all the bad things people do, the drugs and the strippers and the gambling. Like, we talk about all the bad. What about the good stuff? There's good you can do with money too. And I intend to do it. I already do a lot of it. I already give away 10-20% of what I make. No matter what it is, I already do it. Imagine giving away 20% of $1 billion though. You cannot change the impact of that. And ever since I read that woman's story, I told myself I was never going to get in a situation like this again, where somebody was in dire need and I couldn't help them the way they needed to be helped.
Yes. Everything, yes. And the conviction in your voice is like, there's no question. There's no question that you're going there. There's no question that others are inspired to do the same thing, Natalie, that you
They better be.
It's so clear. You see a need. There's something that can fix it. You create the thing to fix it. You extend the hand is clasped, and you move on. That pulling and lifting up happens. It's simple in a lot of ways. It's complex.
It's really simple. It's really simple. And it's interesting to me how we talk ourselves out of it. Working for free, working for cheap, not asking for help, not wanting to pay for help. We're so stuck. We're so trapped in this small little place of, what is the least obtrusive, smallest, cheapest offer I can put out in the market so nobody notices me and nobody rejects me. I don't care how people feel about me. I'm loud and proud, and somebody's going to pay me for it.
For sure. So many. My goodness. Yes. Oh, all right. Natalie, you've shared a little bit about this, but as we move into some quick whirler question, what makes you excited about what is happening in your community? The women you work with, your community in Alabama, what makes
they
you excited?
They are making money. Money. God told me my 3rd month in business was a $10,000 month. And if you look at the statistics, that doesn't happen. My 3rd month ever, in the very first business ever, 10K.
Yes.
And I had a dream, and God revealed to me that he wanted me to get 10 more women to that benchmark. So far, I have 8. Nice. So I'm happy to report that I have gotten 8 women to not their first, not their second, but to 3 consecutive $10,000 months. And I'm just waiting on 9 and 10 so that I can complete that phase. So what makes me excited? There's more women making more money. We're not all poor. I have clients making $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 a year in their business. Damn the statistics that say that Black women-owned business only make $24,000 a year. That might be the average, but my ladies aren't average.
I love that. My ladies aren't average. Love that. All right. Gosh, you've shared so much. Goodness, what additional key lessons learned would you share with others who are trying to create change in their communities, in their work, in their families, in their jobs?
Get away from assumptions. Stay out of people's pockets. Stop convincing yourself what people will or won't pay for. You don't know what resources they have or how motivated they are to change.
I love that. That's clear. And what do you wish someone told you 5 or 10 years ago about this work?
That semantics matter. 5, 10 years ago, I was a financial literacy educator and nobody would pay me. And that's because financial literacy is a low vibration term. It sounds like budgeting and savings for people who are lower income. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you're giving them literacy, so they're presently illiterate, right? You're teaching someone literacy. What does that mean that they have now?
Right. None.
But now that I have decided, you know what? I'm actually not a financial coach. Like, it's not really what I do. I'm really getting into the mindset. It's really more about action and feeling than bean counting. And so now that I'm a wealth coach, and now that I'm soon to be a registered investment advisor, the semantics of those words, I would tell my former self, dream bigger. Why can't you do it? Why do you have to be just this? Why do you have to speak for free? Why? Because churches won't pay for it. And stop speaking at churches as your main bread and butter. Do it as a reach back, as an outreach. I speak at churches now. But don't do it and think that's going to be your whole business if they won't pay you. A lot of us get stuck in a low paying situation and think that's the way things have to be. They don't have to be that way. Oh, and if I could go all the way back, I would say drop out of college when you lost your scholarship because the student loans ain't worth it, sis.
Yeah, hear that. Hear that.
Yep.
Still, that story of Tequila is pretty phenomenal.
I know. She'll listen to this and be like, girl, you out here telling people this story?
Yes. All right. Well, I would love to hear, Natalie, what other thoughts you'd love to share with folks as we get ready to wrap up today, and how folks can learn more about you, your work, and how we can find you in social and on the web.
Wealth is your birthright. The sooner you accept that, the easier your life will be. It's something you're supposed to have. It's been stripped from you, stolen. Take it back. I think that you can have whatever you desire. We need to stop desiring just enough. Stop cursing your business and your finances. Stop saying, I just need enough to have some grocery money. I just need enough to put gas in the car. I just need enough to cover my daycare. I just need enough to, and you'll always have just enough. You're literally speaking lack and scarcity over your business, and you're like covering it, like dew on the grass. So stop that. You can catch me for now at unapologeticwealth.com. Okay. By the time this airs, though, I may have moved to the new site, nataliebullen.com, because Natalie's going to be a personal brand.
Yay! Love that. Love that. Love that.
Which I'm excited about. And if you want to get fussed at in a loving way about wealth, I'd love to have you. You can learn more about my work on Instagram at Unapologetic Wealth. You can hear me talk for 10 to 12 hours a week ad nauseum about this stuff on Clubhouse. You can follow me at Natalie Bullen. I'll be the one in a stunning black dress with a smile that looks like money. And you can follow me or join my Facebook group. I have a Facebook group that's free, Unapologetic Wealth for Entrepreneurs. It gives free advice and tips on how to build your credit, basic financial literacy, because yes, I feel like all people deserve that.
I love that. So we'll share all the links in the show notes and on the website. So Natalie, thank you so much for joining today. What a gift you are for the people that you work with and communities and people who are trying to bring those babies home. So thank you so much for your work and words. Appreciate having you.
You're welcome. It was fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you.